Hello and welcome to WhatKeepsYouAwake.tv. It's time again to dive into the hustles, the hurdles, and the highs that keep small business leaders up at night. I'm your host, David Hooser, and I'm fortunate again to have our guest, Joan Koerber-Walker.
Hey, David, it's great to be back.
Thanks for coming back. So we've gone through your history in the Valley. It's incredible. The things you've done in the past have really stimulated a sector of our economy that wouldn't have been here otherwise without leadership like you've delivered, and others like Francine, who I had the pleasure of working with early in my career here. Leaving Motorola, I got involved with some of her organizations and activities, and she was a true motivator for me to really go to the, to take the next steps that I took towards entrepreneurship. And so I'd ask you that for, knowing the past, and we've had that discussion already, what does the future hold for biotech in Arizona, for entrepreneurship in Arizona, for AI? And the impacts it'll have on both biotech and in general in our economy.
All right, so let's break those down.
Okay.
So the first thing, because all of us at one point or another are patients. The first thing
Yes,
that patients think
Not
about
patient.
patients. Well, and patients are very impatient when they're sick,
we
right?
Want solutions.
So, but from the economic perspective, there are also some very big issues that we have to tackle.
Okay.
So think about cancer. Unfortunately, almost everybody either has had or knows someone who has had a brush with cancer. And, one of the things that we think about is, how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to live with that? But what if we could prevent it from happening in the first place?
Right.
There is a company in Phoenix called Calviri. And Calviri currently is working on a vaccine and a test that can be used with dogs, with companion pets, to prevent cancer from starting in the first place. So imagine no cancer. Now, dogs, why would you start with dogs? Well, dogs don't live as long as we do. Their cancer moves faster than ours does. And their tumor composition is very similar to a human's tumor composition. So they're starting with dogs. They're helping the dogs. They are not hurting the dogs. And then the next step, and this is where I'm really excited, would be to take that technology and move it into clinical trials for human testing, so that perhaps in my grandchildren's generation, and I have 3 beautiful granddaughters I'm very proud of, and but wouldn't it be wonderful if their children would say, "Mommy, what's cancer?"
Right. I read about this.
This would be amazing, right? And so, those are some of the things that are happening here in Arizona. We look at medical devices. So there's a company in Scottsdale called Enuncia, and Enuncia is helping people with hydrocephalus. Think water on the brain. And, you think, okay, how does that impact the patient? Well, it's most common in young people, babies, and older people. So a baby with hydrocephalus might have 8 more brain surgeries before they turn 18.
Wow.
Then they have birthdays.
Wow.
And so this technology, which is so simple, they have put a little push button underneath the scalp, between the scalp and the skull, that connects to the thing that drains out the fluid.
Right.
And every morning you get up and you just push it, and there's a little
button.
poof of air that goes through it. It clears it, doesn't get clogged, and you don't need so many brain surgeries.
Wow.
So that is cool. That is innovation.
That is. Truly.
And so you ask about AI. AI is going to change healthcare in many, many ways, in how our patients interact with our doctors, how our doctors look at scans, how our clinical trials are managed. Very, very, very
Diagnosis.
wide area. But I don't like the words I don't like AI. I don't like this concept that we're pushing because it's easy to say that intelligence is artificial. It's not. Machines allow us to supercharge our intelligence, to give us faster access to data. They allow us to be more specific. They allow us to see small things in large data sets, but they don't think. And it will be up to us as humans to set the guidelines so that these tools are used appropriately.
Ethically,
Arizona just
efficiently.
passed a law about this
Right.
relative to medical claims. So if you have a medical problem and you're applying for your insurance, do you want a doctor making the decision whether you get that treatment or a machine?
Well, for sure. You want the human compassion, the thought, understand. Yeah, I understand your point. It's just, well, at some point, the AI tools, the implement, they can build. We see, progress in that front where computers are thinking, acting with a little bit of emotion. So you wonder if that doesn't come as a part of the
And I think that
transition in the
to some
future.
extent we'll see different things, but remember the computer is mirroring our emotions and our ethics and our information. And so in some cases, AI is like an infant. It's going to learn what you teach it.
Sure.
We need to make sure we're teaching it the
Teaching
right
it the good
things.
things, right, and that is a big issue with regarding every discussion that I have been involved with AI.
You and I are both of a generation where we remember the ARPANET, right? And using Gophers to go get information. And then we saw the advent of the internet that is commercially viable and that has grown, but we didn't know what the good and the bad was that would come out of it. We speculated and we tried to address it, but as technologists, we made a lot of mistakes.
Sure, we did.
And so with this new technology, we are going to see that escalating. Moore's law is over, right? It's moving much faster than Moore's law now. And so we really have to think, really think about how we use this technology for good and how we prevent outliers from using it for not good.
And we could have a full episode on that discussion.
Absolutely.
But let's stay focused on, say, the next 3 to 5 years in Arizona. Are you seeing a big push in biotech solutions coming to market from companies based
I'm
here?
running so fast and I can barely
Yeah,
keep
I bet.
up.
I bet.
I mean, so in Arizona, I'm an economist by training, so I look at numbers. And economic impact is the best number I use because it combines the jobs impact with the greater economic impact of the buildings, the supporting industries, et cetera. So in 2016, our economic impact here in Arizona was about $20 billion.
Wow.
Okay. In 2023, it was approaching $45 billion in 1 year. Okay. That's more jobs, more businesses.
That's right.
Creating treatments and cures.
Right.
It also requires that we think about how we're going to spark the next generation. So I wear an Arizona pin on my lapel. And you've got one too. And people across Arizona are wearing those to show our commitment for hitting a goal using our entrepreneurial community of doubling and getting to $77 billion in economic impact by 2033. Okay. So as we are moving towards this, there are global factors, macroeconomic factors that hold us down. One of them is the lack of early stage investment. So a great idea could come out of ASU or out of a garage, But if there's not money to help it reach the milestones where that company becomes investable and seed, angel,
Right.
venture money comes in, it will never help a patient. And so we took that problem to the Arizona legislature in 2022 and created the Arizona Health Innovation Trust Fund. So this is where the state treasurer, as the trustee, using all of the investment capabilities of the state, would manage a private trust, so it's not the state's money, that would then fund early stage innovation in health here in Arizona forever. And there's nothing like it in the entire nation, and we're building it right here in Arizona.
Now, does that feed into kind of an incubator environment, or are these innovators kind of working on a standalone
So things
basis?
come full circle.
Yeah.
So remember we talked in our last segment about the Opportunity Through Entrepreneurship Foundation and how they stimulated entrepreneurship? Well, the state of Arizona has chosen that the proceeds, the annual distribution from the trust fund, will go to OTEF.
Okay.
And OTEF has developed an initiative called AZ Advances. You can visit it at azadvances.org. And that is now funding the workforce programs with the students, supporting the entrepreneurs, and has the ability to do small mission-related investments. So whether they're at an incubator or they're outside of an incubator, if they're at a university or outside of a university, everybody has the opportunity to compete for that.
Okay, very good. There's a lot going on. I mean, so the key thing is that if you have an idea, work with your organization or others like Francine's endeavors, and there are opportunities for reaching or connecting to funding that could help you, with early stage prototype, proof of concept type.
Correct. And it's important that we understand that nonprofits rely on the community for support. And, one of the things we did that during 2020 I thought was kind of creative is we partnered with the Giving Block, and we can accept crypto as donations.
Oh, really?
Now, the reason that that's really good, so crypto, as you know right now, is just going through the roof. Well,
investment store though, it's not a currency. You utilize currency on a regular basis.
It is not. But if you're holding that asset, it's no different than holding a stock, right? It is an asset in the eyes of the IRS. And what many people don't realize is if you donate a stock or if you donate crypto to a nonprofit in its native form, so you don't cash it out first, you get the benefit of the full appreciation of that as your tax write-off. And so we set up that the Opportunity Through Entrepreneurship Foundation and AZ Advances on the website. When you go to the donate button, you'll see donate the old-fashioned way, donate crypto. So if you decide that you're going to profit take from your crypto portfolio right now, you might want to think about donating some of that crypto via the AZ Advances portal, and that way you can buffer your capital gains.
That's interesting. It's interesting. So your basis, you're selling it at the current price, but you're not paying above your basis, the delta between your
You're not
basis
paying
and
capital
sale
gains on that because you donated the asset in its native form.
Now, do you also get a deduction from the basis side of? So I would assume you still get
so it is the total value. So if you have one Bitcoin,
right,
and I haven't looked at what it is this morning, so it's $100,000. Then if you donated one Bitcoin, then your donation is valued at $100,000.
At $100,000.
Now,
so even though your basis is,
it doesn't
let's say,
matter.
50,
your basis doesn't matter.
You're getting a tax.
It's $100,000. Now, there are restrictions that the IRS imposes on how much you can donate to charity,
right?
Use this vehicle. And that's why it's always important to talk to your tax advisor.
For sure.
But
the idea
but that's how the concept works.
Very cool. So my nonprofit, which was education focused, we were able to give tax credits.
Yes.
to our donors. So especially for the foster programs that we supported. So that's
and
cool.
there are some great foster programs out there.
And access to education and to your point earlier, entrepreneurship for some. I mean, so don't become an entrepreneur before you're ready.
Right.
Make sure you have a basis, a foundation to grow from, and a support network.
That's right. If you don't have your tribe, you're not going to be successful.
It's going to be hard to win. But getting those foundations set up, which is really what EARN was focused on, or has been, that would then lead them to the opportunities for, next level, ideas
Absolutely.
and support. So, well, cool. Well, that's been, a great conversation. I appreciate, again, your time. And so for this, how do people, for the ideas, if I'm coming in to, I have an idea and I really want to get some kind of build support network and maybe a proof of concept, what would you recommend someone do?
So if they're here in Arizona and they're just starting, so they're just forming their company, the first thing they need to do is go to azbio.org/join and join AZBio. So when they join in the first 2 years that they're formed, AZBio membership is free.
It's free. Okay.
And so that allows them to get integrated in the communities, to start to make connections. And we have cost savings programs that they can utilize. And the members that we have that use those programs,
relationships.
these are basically things that life science companies use that they get discounts on because we aggregate it across the whole country. And so it matters. They saved over $4.4 million last year. And so while they're getting started, we basically scholarship them for the first 2 years, get them going, get them growing. And then after that, they can afford to pay dues.
Yeah, when they're ready, if the idea is a good one.
And sometimes you need to fail fast.
And sometimes you need to. It's okay. It's okay to fail and learn.
That's right.
And then grow from that. Okay, well, we will send people your way. Thanks again, audience, for joining us. If you are watching us on your favorite platform, make sure to like us, like this episode. If you're learning about us now, subscribe to whatkeepsyouawake.tv on any of the main podcast outlets. We're on all of them. So we'll look forward to seeing you on a future episode.
Thank you.